Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Scott Chong from Tough Enough 3 calling. Just letting you know to check out the interactive interview, the #1 place for all your wrestling news needs. See you later.
Interactive Wrestling.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Interactive Interview on the interactiveinterview.com. I'm James Walsh, joined as always by Daniel Edler with our special guest, Scott Chong. Scott, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Not bad.
All right, first question.
It started snowing just today on the East Coast, so I'm a little cold right now. So
Where you at?
Virginia right now, so I'm just a little chilly right now, as you would say.
I'm
Alright.
cold all year round because I'm in England, so.
And I'm hot all year round. I'm in Arizona.
I gotta make a trip to London. I gotta check that place out. After watching Snatch and Lock, Stock, I gotta go out there soon.
I like films,
Great movies.
classic
Great movies.
films. Yeah, brilliant.
Definitely. So what's up, guys?
None of that. The first question we've got for you is, were you a wrestling fan growing up?
Yep. The basic story on this is basically when my family moved to America from Korea, my grandmother would babysit, my cousins and I. And so basically we would watch wrestling with her. And ever since, that age, I was always, a wrestling fan. And, but that was really what I've always wanted to do. And basically my plan was prior to Tough Enough, that was after I graduated from college, there was a wrestling school in Maryland that I was going to, train right after I graduated. But, Tough Enough came along, so I just decided to give that a try and ended up, going at that. So, I've always been a wrestling fan. I've always watched the stuff, always, chased them, stars for autographs, the pictures, all that stuff. So, I'm definitely, one of those true wrestling fans that grew up, definitely.
Growing up, who were some of your favorites?
Loved Ricky Steamboat, the Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior. Wasn't too much of a Hogan fan. Everyone likes Hogan to some capacity, but just wasn't a Hulkamaniac, as you would say. But I really at the same time, Bret Hart were probably my two most influential.
So you cut out for a second.
To be a wrestler.
You cut out for a second.
Those are probably all my favorite tag team was the Steiner Brothers.
Mm.
The old school, the ones where they had Scott Steiner had the mullet, and so those are I would have to say those are some of my favorite wrestlers.
You cut out for a quick second there. Who did you say were your two most influential?
Keith Steamboat and Bret Hart, probably my two most influential wrestlers that I grew up watching. That made me say I'm gonna do this. This is something I'm gonna do when I get older. So they just influenced me so much. Just everything about those guys. So I happened to be at a show with Ricky Steamboat over the summer. That was actually a fan. It's kind of a fan slam convention in New Jersey, where it's just a meet and greet of a lot of the wrestling stars. We had there was Ricky Steamboat, Bobby Heenan, Crowbar, and all those guys. So basically, I was one of the autographed guests there. And so, I got to meet with him and got to chat and talk with him. It was just, it was kind of like, a little starstruck, dream come true to, finally meet one of the influential, stars, superheroes that I had, when I was a child. So that was really, that was a real good blessing. It was really, really humbling to, finally meet him. He's a great guy, So I'm hoping that, all these rumors about him being at WrestleMania 20, who wouldn't love to see him make a comeback at, at MSG? So definitely looking forward to that, hopefully. So.
Normally at this point, we'd normally ask the guest who trained you, but since that's pretty obvious, I was going to ask an adaptation from the question and say, you mentioned, of course, you were looking to go to a wrestling school, but before you heard about Tough Enough, would you have considered wrestling as an actual career?
That's what my intentions were, because basically, the whole Asian culture in America is that school is priority number one, and basically that was school's to me that's important. That's why after Tough Enough, I returned back to school to finish my my college degree, and I graduate this upcoming May. And so basically, my plans was right after college, graduating out, I would get a regular job, whatever, and just start training at the school in Maryland, and that was my that was my plan and goal, because everyone says that they've always dreamed about being a wrestler, and this is what they've always wanted to do, but I have legitimate proof that I've always wanted to do this. I don't know how it is in England or in the the UK, where the senior year high school yearbooks, where they ask you what your career ambition is or what your future goal is, and specifically stated in my yearbook, it said that I was going to go to the WWF. I mean, that's what I've always wanted to do. And so, I mean, that is proof right there that I've always wanted to do this. And so many, because you have so many other, the tough enough people that, even from my season, that they said that this has always been their dream, that they've always wanted to be a wrestler. And you got to understand, a lot of them are just saying that just because, it's at the moment, or they just, want to be politically correct. But this is something that I've always wanted to do. And that was, my whole plan, after graduating college, that was what, I was going to do. And so now I'm able to, I'm balancing both of them, plus also working a job. So, I'm a very, very busy man these days. So, I mean, I love wrestling. This is what I've always wanted to do, and I'm getting to do it for a living now.
Did you apply to go to TI Tough Enough 1 or 2?
The funny story about this is I found out about Tough Enough 1 like the day the submissions were cut off. So that was a little disappointing, but I mean, I was all excited about it, because I'm a big reality TV fan, so I was like, this would be interesting to watch. But then, when Tough Enough 2, when they announced it, I was so confident that I would make it, and that I would be out there at least to Vegas to the casting call. And they didn't make that, and that really bummed me out. And because I was so confident that I was going to make it that I took a whole semester off from school, thinking that I was going to make it, and I didn't even make the call back to Vegas. So that really bummed me out. And once Tough Enough 3 came along, I was like, this is it. I got to go off with all this. So I finally, persistence paid off. And so that's, I'm glad. I'm kind of glad that I didn't make Tough Enough 2. But, not to say that, they didn't, they weren't a bunch of good guys, but, Tough Enough 3, I wouldn't trade in anything. Well, getting to work with Bill DeMar, Matt and John, all those guys, it ended up being better. And so I'm very happy with what resulted in it.
When sending in your application for Tough Enough 3, did you really actually expect to be the one that won the competition and got a WWE contract?
Yes, I don't do things unless I know or feel that I can actually have a chance of winning. The moment I stepped in in the room with all of the the final 25 or the final 13, I should say, I knew that I was going to be the one guy that's going to have to work the hardest and going to be the big underdog because, frankly, I was the smallest guy there, physically, and some of the girls are just as big as I was, and they were a lot of them were better athletes than I was, but the only thing I could have done was just give it my 110% and just give it all I got, and show them how badly I really want this because persistence pays off, and that's what really allowed me to stay as long as I did, because I showed them how badly I wanted this. I got the living the hell crap kicked out of me worse than anybody else did out of all those guys, but I kept coming back day after day, and that's what I proved to them that I want this. I'm not just here just to take up space. This is a dream opportunity to come for me, and that's what I wanted to do, and I'm still doing it. I've practically worked more shows than maybe all the other cast, my other fellow castmates, and I didn't even make it. I made it little more than halfway. I'm still working because this is what I've always wanted to do. To do it because this is really, like I said, this is what I wanted to do with my life. And when I think about this, is I don't know if you guys have seen the WWE Confidential piece that they did on Al Snow about how he grew up in the wrestling, in the business, which is also on the Before the Superstars 2 DVD. For some reason, I kind of feel like the way he got into this business and the way he had to work, and I'm kind of seeing similarities between my case, because he told us a story, just not in too much in details about how he went to the Anderson brothers camp, which was kind of like a mini Tough Enough to them. And so I kind of relate that to me and how he had to overcome and persevere, and he wasn't the most physical or the greatest athlete, but he kept doing it because he wanted it. It was all persistence and hard work and dedication, and that's how I'm kind of pushing myself because I kind of look like a role model to me in this business. And so, like I said, I'm proving it to you how badly I want to do this because I'm still doing it to this day. And so,
talking about your application for Tough Enough, of course, the audition video that you put in was slightly. I can't even find a good word for it. So, do you want to explain where you came up with it?
Basically, my concept and the way I approached it was like, this could be the last time I get a chance like this. And so I was like, my quote and philosophy in life is, no fear. You can't, there's none of fear in life. And so I was just like, I have to do something to make them, just be like, whoa, what just happened here, or something like that. And so I just decided to make a tape of, just as the intro of me with a paper bag over my, my privates. And so I just, I decided just to do that, just to throw in some kickers and just get a quick laugh, and just, it ended up, working for me. But that's what I did for my audition tape. I wouldn't say that, my parents were too pleased about it, but, it got me to where I wanted to be. So, hey, what can I do?
And what was your audition tape for Tough Enough 2 like?
Actually, it was actually not to that extreme of what I did for my Tough Enough 3 tape. It was almost very similar. The only thing different was I just didn't dance around with a paper bag over my penis. That's it. But in terms of, everything else, all the other stuff that I put together with it, it was almost identical. So I'm thinking that, if I did the same thing for Tough Enough 2, then I would have probably made it then. But, I mean, hey, I made Tough Enough 3. I'm glad I did. I made some of the best friends in my, my life. I'm glad as hell I worked with Bill DeMont, all those guys. And so, it ended up being for the better. Everything happens for a reason. It just made me that more determined and dedicated to make Tough Enough 3. And so, I mean, I'm glad what happened. So, and just to keep this in mind, I do have the originals and all the additions that all the outtakes I did for my Tough Enough 2 and 3 tapes. So who knows, they might be on a future DVD release or something like that.
That would definitely be interesting to see. Of course, you did make it to Tough Enough 3, and you made it to the final 13 after the grueling bike ride up the hill. And what was going through your mind during that ride?
Yeah, let me explain the story on that. I had a lot of people were wondering, how can a 21? Well, at that time, I was 21 years old. I'm 22 now. They're like, how can a 21-year-old kid, not know how to ride a bike? And one thing people got to understand is that this is a very large world, and not everyone has the same privileges, and opportunities that they may have had. For instance, I never had that opportunity or privilege to learn how to ride a bike because what happened was, as a childhood, my parents, were blue-collar family, very low-income family, had to work, 24/7 just to make ends meet. And so basically, my dad got me a bicycle, when I was, maybe like 7, 8, 10 years old. And, since he was never around to teach me how to ride one, he told my cousin, to teach me one. But, my cousin was, a complete dick, and still to this day he is. So basically, one day he tried to teach me, and he made the experience so miserable and, petrifying for me that, literally I just, I didn't, it's one of those things where, it psychologically affects you, like a child, someone getting, abused as a child, it's going to affect you. And so basically that's what happened with me. And so, going that was not a very fun time to have running that bike because, it just felt like it was going forever and forever and ever. But the one thing that really got me through that bike ride was, they didn't show that part, was John finished that bike ride like half the time it took anyone else to finish. So basically what he did is after he got finished with his bike ride, he went back and helped me and rode with me the whole time that it took me to, to get to the top. And so, I mean, that just shows you how much of a good person John is, and I'm glad that he is where he is, and, that he's one of the winners. And so that really, honestly, that really helped me, just spiritually and just, the camaraderie that just built from there. Because I would have to say, him and Matt were my best friends throughout the show the whole time because, they're always understanding of who I was, how I was, grew up, the stuff that, I wasn't, privileged, to live and do. And so they were very understanding and very open-minded people. And so I'm glad to have, been around them and to be, call them, my friends in life. And so I just hope that nothing but the best for them.
Do you still keep in touch with those guys and the other contestants and whatnot and the trainers?
Yeah. I talk with, Al whenever I get a chance, Bill, Big, whenever, all that stuff. It's all, out of, just friendship, nothing really out of business. But I talk with Matt and John, whenever I get a chance. I'll talk with Kelly, Chad, and I actually talk with Danny from Tough Enough too every now and then. He actually lives about 20 minutes from me. And so the funny thing was we actually met at the first independent show that I was invited to was in Philadelphia, and he ended up being there. So basically we just met from there, and he's been a real good mentorship to me, helping me, when I first started working the independent scene, kind of giving me advice here and there. So he's been real helpful to me. And I've talked with a couple of people from Tough Enough 1, Paulina. And so, honestly, with the way I like to look at it is like, you know how in the real, I don't know if you guys get the real world in the UK, but I mean, you guys get that over there?
No.
I get it here.
But people are really familiar. You know, it's a reality show on MTV. How every single season from real world, they're all like good friends, with, with each other season. But it just doesn't seem like it is with ours. I mean, it just seems like everyone's just kind of at each other. I mean, for some, even with our season, not a lot of people are friendly with each other. And in fact, there's actually minor feuds going here and there. But I mean, everyone's just everyone's just doing their thing. I mean, I just try to be as friendly as I can with the people that I call my friends. And so I mean, just hey, I consider some of those people the best friends in life, because I mean, what we went through was a one-of-a-kind experience, and no one else will know what it's like. And so I'm glad to have shared that experience with them. And so I'm hopefully one day I'll be able to be there with them in the WWE year. So that's what I'm aiming for after I graduate in May.
Dr. Love sent in a question. He wants to know what was it like taking a cane shot from Tommy Dreamer.
This is the funny. Actually, this is the thing. I was a hardcore match fanatic. Everything with Crash Holly, and I actually got a good story with him. I just loved. He actually, in my opinion, I think he made that storyline, the Hardcore Championship, the title run, so magnificent, because there's so much humor and just so much story to it. And so I was just I was a big ECW fan. Now I followed all the big names, so I knew followed Tommy Dreamer and all those guys. And so I was just like, man, this is a one of a kind, or once in a lifetime opportunity to do something like this. And so I really wasn't I guess I wasn't really thinking when I asked them for it. I thought honestly, I thought they weren't going to let me. And so when I did it, when I asked them, they were like, yeah, let's go. And so when I'm up there, bent down and everything, I'm honestly thinking that he's just going to give me just a quick tap or something like that, not really going to just give me that that shot as hard as it was. But my initial reaction was right when I get hit, I felt as if I was shot by a gun or something, because my body and mind just numbed out for like 10-15 seconds. Then I just went back to reality, and just it was honestly the worst physical pain I've ever experienced in my life. But hey, I'm glad I took it, because if I ever get in a match with Tommy and we have a Singapore cane match, I'll be able to take some more. And so I mean, it really was an honor to take that, And so I mean, to ask for someone like him to deliver that, it was like hey, it takes balls to do it. And then, and everyone says I have the biggest balls in the world.
Talking of physical pain, you went to the hospital twice during the show. Once for your hand, and the other time was due to the excessive drinking. Could you explain both situations and give us your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. Well, the volleyball. Well, when I injured my thumb, I tore a ligament in my thumb. That really was more of the production's request to send me to the hospital. It really wasn't mine, because I knew that if I went to the hospital, that was going to be nothing but bad. Unless because the moment I looked at my hand the next day, it was terrible looking, and so I was really trying to not let that be known. So that really was a big blow to my just pride at that moment, because I was like here I am, worked, overcome everything I had, everything thrown at me, and here now this happens. It's just like terrible timing. But the way I looked at it, I was like this is just something you have to overcome and show them again how badly you want this. You got to overcome it. And so that was just honestly, people are like, dang, Scott, how could you go to the hospital sometimes? Well, those 2 times I went to the hospital was probably the most hospital trips I ever made in my life. And so the one about the drinking, that was just I have nothing against drinking. If you drink, hey, go for it. But I obviously never learned how to drink. I guess in a responsible manner. And so that was also the same day that I had to go to the hospital. And so basically, that was just really depressing mode that day. And so when people say you really turn to alcohol for stuff like that to numb the pain, it really does. People do have those kind of problems. And basically, gave me that day. And so, and a bad thing ended up, it just like DDP says, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. And so it ended up being, a good learning experience for me that, I was like, hey, Scott, I mean, to this day, I'm still sober. I don't drink anymore, not because, I have moral, issues against it. I just don't drink. And so, I mean, hey, it ended up being a good thing for me, but, who knows, maybe I might start drinking, but, it ended up teaching me that, I got to be responsible for things. And it was just a big part of the learning process that I was going through in terms of, learning and growing as a person, and just being able to interact with the people that I was around, and just, like I said, growing, maturing as an adult. So, and like I said, a bad thing ended up being a good thing.
Was there anything as a note, like during your time during the Tough Enough filming, that was cut out from the final finished product?
I would have to say Tommy Dreamer, after his visit, later that night, we all went out to dinner with him. And this is a restaurant that he told us that, some of the other WWE superstars go to. It's the restaurant's called Typhoon in the LA area. It's like a specialty Thai restaurant. And basically what happened was they told us that, we're going to have dinner Tommy Dreamer style. And we were all trying to guess what it was going to be because we were thinking, like he told us the story how he went to Japan and everything to wrestle. So we were thinking we're going to eat sushi or something like that. But then we didn't really remember the fact that Tommy Dreamer drank and ate a couple of gross things on, Raw. And so we forgot to remember that. And so that's what they meant by Tommy Dreamer style.
Oh, my.
So when we went to the dinner, we ended up not eating, like, meals. We ended up eating, like, ants. This is what we ate. We ate ants, sea worms, a water bug, scorpion, and I think that was it. I think there might have been one or two more, but it really kind of grossed us out and made our stomachs turn. I mean, I ended up eating a little bit in the bathroom. But hey, it was a one-of-a-kind experience, and, I'm glad to have shared it with Tommy. And so, I mean, hey, like I said, it's Tommy Dreamer style. But unfortunately, we didn't think it was going to be that, We just forgot to remember that's what Tommy did on TV a couple times. And so, it was all good fun. I mean, we had a good laugh about it. And so, I mean, hey, when else are you going to be able to, eat all this stuff and, have a good laugh about it, a year later or something like that. So, definitely. It was a lot of fun.
What was your favorite match thus far in your career?
Ooh, still to this day, and I think no matter what, unless, I end up wrestling some super match or whatever, my first match will always be my most memorable, favorite, and, et cetera, et cetera. I wrestled H.C. Loke from my ECW, who's, also the Extreme Referee. He's also a regular for Ring of Honor. And he's out of upstate New York area. And so basically, this is my very first show. I mean, the story behind this was I drove a little over 12 hours for my show. And so, hold on. So I drove over 12 hours for my first show. Can you hold on for a second?
Sure. That's good.
Excuse me. No. Yes, hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was about to get pulled over right now. But anyways, sorry about that. I drove nearly 12 hours to upstate New York, and all by myself. I was so nervous. Literally, I was pissing my pants, no pun intended. And so, I was just literally just shaking the whole time. I mean, I must have made like a bathroom break like every 10 seconds. Because, here I am in my first show, upstate New York, about to perform, and literally just about to piss my pants. And so, here's a guy that, and also I was really nervous about, the locker room, how they were going to treat me and everything, because, the whole Tough Enough presentment thing. But it ended up being like everyone there treated me with, nicely and respectfully, and, I did the same thing with them. And so basically, this was a very, I guess, hardcore style, brutal match. I mean, I broke my nose like 10 seconds coming to the match. I had a concussion, the bruises, everything. I was literally, effed up after the match. And it ended up being a really solid match from what, he told me, the crowd told me, everyone told me. And so I was just, still to this day, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe we actually put that on together. And the one thing that I'm really, grateful to this day, every day, and I'm like, I pray every day, and I'm like, God bless him, is that as we're going over the finish for the match, he was telling me that, he also, Fonzie, from ECW, also worked my match. He, was an ECW guy.
Right.
Fonzie would distract me while I put, I was going to put Logan and Boston Crab. He would go for the ropes, and that would cause a breakup. Then Fonzie would be on the other side distracting me, and I would, go from pretending I was going to hit him, but then Loke would turn around and, put me in a move, then, that would be the match, and I would lose. So that was the original finish that we were going to do, and basically I was like, I was all for it. And so I was just, but what happened was once I put him in the Boston Crab, he tapped out, and basically it was like a surprise gift to me, that he let me win my first match. And so, I mean, I was surprised, I was shocked. I mean, I didn't know what to make of it. I was just like, wow, what's going on here? So, I mean, literally, those are the kind of people, not just in wrestling, but those are the kind of people in general that you just appreciate and want more people to be around, just, good-natured people. I I actually got to see him two shows. We also worked at 2 Ring of Honor shows together later on, and so basically, I just want nothing but for the best of him because he's got a great guy, great heart, everything. And so that what I would have to say is my best, most memorable match. And so in terms of like my work, the shows that I've worked maybe close to 10, 15 now. Being also having to go to school and working a job. I would have half of the shows that I've worked has me wrestling, and half of them has me like as like a manager, guest time, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like the last show I just worked at was with a bunch of NWA TNA people, and I was the special guest referee for the main event, which was Jerry Lynn and Cash. And that was the first time I ever refed a match, and they all told me that I did a superb job, and I was really honored to they let me do that. And so it's just like I said, I'm just doing what I've always wanted to do, and I'm just having fun all the time with it. And so, like I said, once I graduate college, I'm going to go for it 110%. And so, I'll have that college degree finally, and so I'll be able to, do the wrestling thing full time now. So I'm really looking forward to that. I have, other info sites. There's a multitude of like fan sites that are out there that, they list all my dates and all that stuff. So, I've been really fortunate to have, a good fan base like that. And so basically that's, in terms of a show, there's actually going to be a big show coming here at my college in the springtime, which I'm very looking forward to. And so basically, I'm helping, put the show on with this other promoter. And so I'm just, working from that. And aside from that, I don't have any wrestling bookings yet because I've had to turn down a couple of shows because, my big time conflicts with my work and my school. But like I said, once I graduate college, I'll be able to do it 110%. And so I'm just looking forward to that big time. And so that's what I got going for me. My website's going to be keeping me busy once I start working on it again. And so I'm just looking forward, just like I said, I'm just having a blast. Just staying in wrestling and just doing, being on an interactive interview right now. So definitely.
And then we're going to go to some word associations, if that's okay with you.
Definitely.
Basically, if you've got a story you want to tell, you can, or you can just give a one-word answer.
Definitely.
Okay. First on the list is Alf Note.
My uncle and his farts really do smell, and I'm being honest with that. I'm legitimately saying that his farts smell.
Big.
Baltimore native, local guy for me. He grew up about maybe an hour from me. Great mentor, great guy, great heart, just super. He's got a big future in this business. Kind of like the grandfather. Tough Enough.
Build him up.
Bear Bryant, coach football, kicked my ass every day, and literally I mean every day. And so he's kind of like that, the old school football coach who takes no prisoners, but he does it so well that he's literally kind of like a Bill Parcells kind of relation. He loves and cares about this business so much that he's going to beat it into you, and that's what he did with me. Glad as hell to work with him. Wendell.
I'm interested in your answer for this one.
Don't patronize me! Remember that line? I literally, once I saw that on TV, we were all wondering what was going on when he went back there. I swear I've never seen more bad acting in my life. I mean, literally, that guy should have his own reality show. And I'm not saying this, out of, trying to be extravagant. Literally, I would pay to see what this guy would do. I mean, to see the kind of stuff he did, and especially, doing what he did, he would have the highest rating reality show in the history. I mean, I would love to see him in wrestling. Just to, you make a great character to watch.
Jamie.
I saw her naked, and I don't think I'll ever want to do that again. Just kidding. She's a great girl, great heart. Hope she's doing well, and if she continues to do wrestling, she's gonna have a great future. Because for a girl to be by herself in that environment and to make it as far as she did, she's got a lot of heart and guts to do what she did. I wish the best nothing for her.
Jonah?
No comment. No, just kidding. Well, how can I say this in a proactive way? Let's just say not too many of us are friendly with him right now. I'll just put it that way.
I see. Matt and John.
The great features in the business. My two best friends in life, people that really kind of brought me out of my shell. And so God bless them. God bless those two guys.
And the final word association that I've got for you is the Matt and Bob Holly incident.
Ooh, just a test, a learning experience. I mean, that was really an experiment to see how Matt would handle it and see how he would, because you understand this wrestling business, stuff like that's going to happen all the time. And so that was, I don't want to get into the whole, if it was set up or anything, but just the fact that he overcame it and just kind of accepted in just kind of in a respectful manner just proves how much of a good-natured person he is. And so, like I said, it was just a good litmus test for him to see how good his heart was. Just not, just in wrestling, but just as a person. And so that's how I felt about it when I saw it.
And the final question before we wrap this up is, 3 listeners sent in this question. They've heard you tell a story, an Al Gore story. I haven't heard it myself, so I'm quite interested to know if they're actually telling the truth and if you wouldn't mind telling it.
Oh, it's definitely. The Al Gore story is simple as Al and Tipper Gore were at Arlington, Virginia for a book signing, and basically I was going to get a couple books signed for his Christmas gift. The moment I go up to get my book signed, they recognized who I was, and so that was a big shocker to me. I was just like, Jesus. I couldn't believe, these people knew who I was. Whether to say Al and Tipper Gore or what their stance is in terms of sports entertainment or the MTV generation is, I really don't care. But just the fact that they watched the show, that's quite an honor, and that's kind of shocking in my opinion. Immediately after that happened, I called Big and told him, and he cracked up. And so that was, that's really, shows you how big this, this industry and business is, and that, how good Tough Enough job did in terms of just attracting new viewerships. I don't want to get into the negative aspects, but you just got to look at the bright side. It did a good job in bringing new viewerships and new, just new audience in. And so, hey, that's pretty. Still to this day, I'm just pretty shocked about it. Still to this day, that they knew who I was. So, quite fun. It really is a funny story. It really is. It's just hilarious.
Well, we really thank you for your time today, Scott.
Definitely.
Of course, check out scottchong.com for more information on Scott and his future bookings and whatnot. And cheers for coming on.
Definitely. Can I say one word before I go out?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you guys for letting me have on the interactiveinterview.com, the best place for news.
Mm-hmm.
So hope you enjoy the interview just like I did. Peace out.